Okay guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to show you how I weather up my Deathguard tanks. This effect can be used on most tanks depending on how weathered you actually want to make them. For my Deathguard tanks, I want to make them very grimy and dirty. So here is the fully painted Plaguebearer Crawler. You can see I've used Agrax Earthshade and Plaguebearer contrast paint. There's a lot of Agrax and dry brushing and stuff on here, and you can see there's kind of patches here and there. It doesn't look great because obviously they stand out, you know, massively in comparison to the rest of the white armor and everything. So what I'm going to do is basically show you how to make this look even more battered and weathered with just 3 paints. We've got Neolac Oxide, we've got Typhus Corrosion, and we've got Riser Rust. You can take it a step further and use weathering powders as well if you wish. For this tutorial, however, I'm not going to be doing that. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do is take Typhus Corrosion, and we're actually going to apply a lot of this to the model, but I'm going to apply it with this little bit of sponge, which is just from one of the dividers in my foam case. As you can see, I've already done the other 2 models with this piece as well, but I'm going to take the soft side and I've ripped it so that it's quite, you know, it's very uneven. So what we're going to do, give the Typhus Corrosion a really good shake. It's quite gritty, so you need to make sure you give it a really good shake, and we're going to just absorb a bit of it onto the sponge. Now the issue that we've got is if we put that straight on the model, it's going to be too thick and stark, so I'm just going to pat a bit of it off onto tissue, and then we're just going to start applying it all over the model. And the idea of the sponge is it's not painting it on, but it is leaving it in patches and making it look quite dirty and grimy. So make sure you kind of get most of the areas where it's very plain white, or whatever base colour you're using. So if you use Deathguard green as your base colour, and obviously go back, reapply and do it again, and just keep going all the way around the model till it's grimy to your satisfaction. So there we go, all done. I've gone right the way around the sides and the back, make sure I'm getting all the way down here. I've even gone across the top here. You can see I'm getting it right in all of the gaps as well. It is hard to get right under there, so it might be an idea to keep that off whilst you do it, but even across the front here, I've put it on quite thick across there. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to apply some Neolac Oxide. Now Neolac Oxide is very watery paint, so give it a really good shake. The pigments separate quite a lot. What we're going to do with this is I'm taking a medium layer brush, and I'm actually just going to paint along the edges of some of the brass. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all the way along at all, but you want just enough so that it does stand out along some of the edges like that. And then obviously on the front here we've also got brass, so just do some around here. So it's not a case of applying it really thickly like paint, you do want it on quite sparingly. And put a little small amount on there. Basically just work around and put it where you think it's suitable. I think that's a little bit too much, to be honest. And we'll come back in a minute when we've done the rest of that. So here we go, you can see I've applied quite a a few bits, obviously around the cogs here, around all the brass trim up here, over the cogs here. And it's enough to highlight it and accent it, but it's not enough to overpower it. You definitely do not want to overpower with it. So it's just got little bits and pieces here. And of course on the dozer blade on the front there as well. So the last thing that we're going to do is use Riser Rust, which is a dry brush paint. It is still quite wet and tacky compared to other dry paints if you've used them before. But what we're going to do is we are going to use, I think this is a large base brush. I'll say that again. And we're just going to take most of the paint off on a tissue, so it's nice and dry like that. And then just lightly dry brush some of the patches of the brass. And you can see there, it's just making the rust look even nicer. And combined with the typhus corrosion and the Nelac oxide, it turns out quite nice for rust. Now what you can do as well is you can also add it onto the white here, so it picks up the edges. So I'm going to continue applying this until I think that we've got enough, and what I'm going to do is go over the edges of the metal there, you know, a little bit on the guns here, certainly some on the side panel in here, and especially some on the gun as well. And there we have it. The Plaguebear's crawler is nicely weathered up, very grimy in comparison to what it was previously. And obviously we've only done 3 very small things, which is dry brush Riser Rust, sponge paint on some typhus corrosion, and do a little bit of edge highlighting with some Nelac oxide. And that was very quick. That took me about 10 minutes to do that. And I'm pretty happy with the outcome, and I have done the rest of my vehicles with that, and I've even done the rest of me Plague Marines and everything with it as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. It's a nice easy one for you to pick up on. It gives you some very good effects for very, very minimal effort. If you are interested in any more tutorials, please let me know what you'd like to see in the comments down below, and I'll see what I can do for you. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon.